Hello, very excited. I've set up my very first floods I have ever owned. And this being my first year with RGB and first year sequencing, I figured, well, this is a crowning moment. So, I looked at various routes for using floods. And initially I thought, well, let's just go with 350 waters after speaking with Kevin Judd at the X-Lights training in Las Vegas. And then I talked to other people, and people were saying, well, why don't you just go with a bunch of 10 watts? And I'm like, okay, well, that's interesting. Let's look at that. And I almost went that route. And I finally thought, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to have any floods this year. So I reached out to Kevin Judd. I said, hey, Kevin, you still have those floods? You still selling those? He goes, yeah. I said, can we explore that plan again? And I ended up ordering 350 waters and 330 waters and a Lightorama board and 24 volt power supply. So I put the board together, and I'm sorry, I didn't put the board together. I seated the board in there, hooked up all the wiring, put the pigtails on, all that good stuff. One thing I can say is when Kevin from Creative Lighting puts together a package, it is well thought out. Every screw, every component you needed was there, more than I thought I was going to need. And after putting the puzzle together, it's like, oh, this all makes sense. Give an example. Earlier, I took a picture, and I just had the power, just the threaded, whatever that is, 10 gauge, just wrapped around. And I thought, God, man, that's just wrapped around. It's going to fall off. And I looked in the package and went, wait a minute, there's 4 little thingies. I'm sure there's a technical name for that, but I crimped those puppies on. I'm like, much better, much cleaner. This board couldn't be easier to use. The setup, well, there is no setup. I mean, really, all you have to do is make sure on your Falcon board, and I'm using the 3rd port right here, this guy here, is to change the jumper pins to be on the Loar side instead of the DMX side, because that will work with this board from Loar, and it will also work with my Lightorama controllers. And I have 2 of these here, and these are going to be going, or are going out to my yard for my rock drummer and guitarist. And these are just using SPT wire that I put together last year for my Christmas show, and I have it running under here. And there's my big scary clown. I'm gonna have a light on him that's gonna be controlled from a Loar controller. Just fixing a light here. Wind blew him out of place. Then I'll have a light on this guy, and then I'll have a light on these guys over here. And while I'm out, I give you a little sneak preview. It doesn't look as cool in the day as it does at night. Got my little skeleton up there. Created my yard of skeletons, and I have 2 black lights that I got from spiderwebman.net. I think that's it. Yep. I have 2 of these, and it makes it look awesome. And I'm just gonna put a spider up there eventually, and we'll be good to go on this side. Nothing too dramatic happening over here. I just wanted some ambience because I have all this space until I landscape it one day. Can't landscape it if I keep spending money on lighting crap. All right, back to this. Looks like these are just going through their wash mode. And guess what? I've found a problem here. I'm gonna have to redo these wires because it's a little short. There's something not connecting, so I'll fix that later. Well, that's much better. All right, back to the main reason. Oh, and those are all my 8 tombstones with M5 lights. But these things are pretty bright. I can't wait to see them at night. So again, it could not be easier using a power supply, 24 volt, with this CMB24D, CMB24D. I think that stands for deluxe. That is 8 outputs, so it's 24 channels. And